the non-biased podcast where we're going to discuss the allegations of Daniel Larson. So that's, and I've got CJ here, also commentating.
I'm just helping out with.
You heard him describe a wee bit.
So basically, we're just talking about Daniel Larson and just allegations because it's been happening a lot more recently. This is actually Kieran's documentary. But he asked me help in that, so we'll just film this.
Hopefully I'll be in future episodes, who knows?
I might be, it just depends on...
you will be, you mean?
I will, but it just depends on how often he'll make the documentaries.
Probably every week or so.
Right,
So
because...
we'll get together and record some of it, or all of it maybe.
Oh, right, so...
Anyway,
you can describe what it is you're doing because it's your own documentary.
So I found Daniel Larson like most people just on TikTok.
Oh,
so it is, and I looked at this guy and I was like, oh, is it just like somebody that's just like being weird for views or something? I didn't get it, and I thought it was kind of funny, like, you know, first, because like you probably will laugh here obviously when we say things like, we found videos of him like just rolling about his flower randomly, and we were just really confused on the matter. So basically I done a wee bit more digging into him, and I found some quite disturbing things. So it is like his Pinterest having over 500 megabytes of child porn, and that was quite the eye opener, wasn't it?
It was, because when people found that, because I remember when people found that out, it was definitely one of the bigger, like the more bigger allegations than, you know, the previous ones, because it was before, you know, he has a mental illness, but no one knew that. And by the way, just for context, the person on the screen is Daniel Larson.
Sorry for the laughable picture, as I might say, but
it's
again, we needed something here. We needed something, and we tried to start this twice, but unfortunately we kept laughing because we're looking at the picture of Daniel. Anyway, so I think what we're just going to do for the first bit here is just tell you a wee bit about Daniel.
And then we'll go into the allegations fully. Right, okay.
Right, so
you can start.
So Daniel, do you know what his age is by any chance?
He's in his 30s, or mid-30s I'd say.
Mid-30s, right. Our allegation, put me on a bit. Our suspicion is he's about his early 30s, maybe.
I would say mid-30s.
Maybe
early.
Late 20s.
I would say, I know he's in his 30s, I remember that. It's just about early to mid-30s, I'd say, just to clarify that.
Right, so that could be wrong. That's not us trying to throw shade at him, that's just our guess.
What I've heard.
And he was quite a, how should we put it, unique character. And just how he used to, like, his content, there always seemed something a wee bit, I don't know, off about it.
Because people giving in the comments and that, they would find it funny, but then you kind of think about it and you're like, oh well, what, like, you know, what's actually wrong with this guy? Is he get something wrong, or is this an act? And then as you were saying, you done dig or deepen, you were saying about that.
As we decided to dig deeper into the backstory, you could say, this particular character, we found some ugly truths about him. We at the start we just thought, oh, he's just, you know, somebody making some light-hearted videos for views and he make people laugh. It took quite the 180, should we say, and eventually like the things that kept compiling with him snowballed, essentially, and recently, which has been quite a big topic.
It's been over the past few months, I'd say.
With some popular TikTokers like Curly Daddy, so as Papa Gut, so as some, you know, prominent figures. Papa Gut's no longer on TikTok with the allegations that he's received, but again, this is...
What, does Papa Gut receive allegations?
I don't exactly know, but...
We can go into that in a different...
We'll go into that in a different video and cover it. That won't be as long as this one. So as... but so a lot of people have been talking about it. Sorry, this Daniel Larson picture. Anyway, so a lot of people have been talking about it, and it seems that when people first found him, they thought it was nothing more than a joke, and it would be like an inside group between me and CJ, an inside joke between me and CJ. So it's like, oh, look at this funny video of Daniel Larson. But then one day he posted this video quite disturbing, where he's saying, I can't stop the demons in my head, and he was sitting shaking uncontrollably, like there was something wrong with him. We decided that this light-hearted joke was maybe a wee bit more serious than we thought it was. So eventually we kept researching, and there was this one very fatal video that decided it would bring his legacy down like an avalanche. And CJ, I think, knows the video I'm referring to, where he, let's just say, exposes a certain area.
Yes.
I'll pass it on to CJ now so he can further elaborate.
Well, what happened was I heard about this video of Daniel Larson that was on Twitter, and at that time I had Twitter. I didn't use it very often, but anyway, I went on it and I typed up Daniel Larson video, and when I seen it, it was really disturbing. Not the fact that what he'd done, but more the fact that he'd done it more than once. He was on a TikTok live where should I put that children were in his live stream, and he decided for some reason to pull down his trousers, exposing his genitals, and there was children on there, which is disgusting. And the fact that he done it twice was even worse because he didn't learn from the first time. And then we dig deeper and we found out that all this is because he has a thing where people will come to him, because Daniel is very easily manipulated. People would come to him and say they pretend to be a record company, and say, oh, we're such and such records and that.
And it's recently just produced a music video called, what is it? Rolling Thunder. So it is, and something seemed odd to me about that, because how can this controversial character that had these allegations about him having child porn and also following children on Instagram,
and also having a Pinterest page full of girls.
Right. Although he could have been messaging these children, but we can't not get any evidence of that.
We can't say whether he did or did not, but it's possible. It's not possible.
So we can't exactly give insight on that situation. But personally, if I had to pick one, I would say maybe there's a possibility, because as we know, he is suffering from some type of mental illness. So it is, but even if it is a mental illness, you can't excuse the fact that that's been done.
No, because we do have some proof that he potentially, more likely has a mental illness. He has carers. There's videos of it was titled "Harassing My Carers," and it was what happened was Daniel had his phone took off him, and I don't think this is possible. I didn't think it was possible, but he managed to video it on a
Sorry mate, what is it if I do that on?
It's just so weird, but it's weird to say that, you won't believe this, but Daniel actually videoed the TikTok on a flip phone.
A flip phone, wow.
And it was really bad quality.
That's verging on comical right now, so it is.
But that's like a joke with it, like people say, oh, it's videoed on a flip phone, and one time it genuinely was.
Really?
And that's because his phone was broke, because his carers keep taking his phones off him, and he goes on social media when he's not meant to, and then he done it, and he also has a therapist as well, and he just kept ranting on about things. You can find these on TikTok and that.
Yeah. No, actually,
deep enough.
Not too long ago, I seen quite an interesting thing, right? And it was covered by another YouTuber. I'll credit him now because I don't want to, some people on this app just are like that and like to take down small things. So as could you bring up YouTube now quickly? Let's just type in. We can't really video YouTube, sorry, but it starts with
copyright because we didn't realise.
So we forgot about that there, but it was I think it was called The Story of Daniel Larson.
There's quite a few videos of it.
It was quite a popular video, and he explained in it that at one point he said he was homeless walking about, but then only 6 TikToks later he was in a house and getting a new phone. So it was.
That's what makes me think he's in some form of program that takes care of him.
Yeah, and also I thought maybe that again it's kind of out there theory that the reason he does these things is for money, to make him seem as a bad person. But to be honest, I don't think you would really sacrifice your reputation at a quick buck.
I think it's more manipulation, because these people will convince Daniel, and I mean, if it was any person that didn't have as bad a mental illness as Daniel, or just didn't have mental illness, you could tell that these weren't record companies, they were obviously fake accounts, and they would do like Zoom meetings and that, and then they would tell him to say things. You could tell because it sounded like he was reading off something, and he would say things. In one video he actually said, and I don't think, and this Daniel does think anyone says, and he just said in one of his videos, "I love CP." Child porn, but he said it in a really robotic way, like in a way that he was reading off something, and plus the fact that I've never known anybody to just say that openly. I think he's been manipulated in a way that it's people manipulating him as well when he's saying things, because he doesn't realise what he's saying.
Yeah, personally, right, if you hear somebody saying "I like CP," I'm not going to say the word again because it's quite an uncomfortable mannerism. So it is. but essentially you wouldn't really just hear somebody openly admit that. So it is, there would probably be two reasons: one, through manipulation, or two, by monetary gain. So it is, and the only reason why I would say is, I guess you would kind of say it, is if somebody's really paying you to do this, or they're manipulating you or threatening you in some sort of way. So it is, but again, just to clarify it, we don't have evidence.
There is a theory of mine that Daniel is being paid for some of this, because there's an account he made. It was most recently. It was called Daniel Larson Cash App. It's now been deleted, thankfully.
And his new account is, if I could just say, is help Daniel Larson, no spaces.
Yeah, but I wouldn't bring any attention to it, and I wouldn't like it or just repost it.
Personally, I followed it just to keep a track on what he's saying and if anything comes out. But let's not digress. Let's get back into the allegations here. And one that you might have heard quite a bit is Grace Vanderwall.
That's a good one.
A 17-year-old singer-songwriter
Who's underage.
who is quite clearly underage in most states.
Yep.
So it is, and
And just to declare, I think Daniel lives in Colorado, so I don't know what
I think, I'm not sure, but it's cut him. Anyway, so he has made several videos, and his fans let's keep that
big, massive quotation
let's keep that quotation marks the size of, like, I don't know, a street or something, right? They were sitting saying Grace Vanderwall is dead. Now personally, right, I think he has done some very bad things, and I think these things are inexcusable and they shouldn't be forgiven.
He kept saying what he was going to do to her.
Aye, he kept saying explicitly what he would do to her, and he kept saying things like, we're in a relationship. And then there was another video that also kind of...
And just to be clear, Daniel and Grace don't even know each other.
Aye, well, again, maybe not personally, but...
Grace doesn't know about Daniel. There's been claims that Grace Vanderwall had a restraining order from him, but whether that's true or not, we don't know.
Yeah, we can't elaborate on that much further.
As far as we're aware, Grace doesn't even know who Daniel is. So.
Aye, although he has made videos essentially humping the flare, saying this is what I'll do to Grace.
See, it's terrible, like, when he's doing that, because he's posting it publicly. And the thing is, TikTok isn't doing anything about it right away. It takes them a few weeks for them to actually do something about it.
Yeah.
That page was up for it.
See his first ever page, Daniel Larson, just that. How many
Daniel Larson fans?
How many followers did that have?
Oh, about 500k. So
half a million. We'll round it to about there.
Yeah, about that.
That is shocking. So it is that 500,000 people now. I'm not saying all of them are, right?
But that was before the allegations.
Aye, before the allegations, it's fine, right? But afterwards, people still kept to that. Either they didn't know, or they just didn't care.
And the fact that his account get banned shortly after the allegations, so, and then he continued to make more accounts because people were influencing that. They must be, because Daniel. I mean, maybe Daniel decided to do it himself, but I definitely think that there could be some form of influence in who's. You know, people telling him to do things, which I think is wrong. But Daniel, what he's done with being essentially a paedophile, is just disgusting. There's no excuse for that, and he needs help.
After all these allegations came out, it wasn't such a conversation, is this appropriate for social media? It came out, is this appropriate for culture and society? And personally, I'm going to say this, and this might be the non-biased podcast, right? But this isn't really biased, it's no. In any culture, I can't really think of any culture that happens with. So as personally, I know some countries have shockingly low,
like Japan.
Japan for example, with 13.
That is disgusting.
13. I get that it might be their culture,
but I wouldn't.
But from an outsider's perspective, it's no right.
It's just disgusting.
So and anyway, so. It can't just be, is this alright for social media? Is it alright for society to consume these things and deem them appropriate for people? Because see, when you're hurting people that are under the age, for example, Grace Vanderwall was 17. At the moment, that is the oldest person we know he's done things with. Like, not done things with, like, in that manner, but said things in these manners, because obviously, can you think of anybody older than 17 that he said things about? No, and I bet on his Instagram personally at the time, he was just following tons of children. So, and it was just shocking. So it was, and then on his Pinterest, I swear to God, since I seen these things, it was like 11-year-olds on his Pinterest, and like just random pictures of children with their parents. It was disgusting.
That's the thing I noticed. Like when you sent me the images and that, and the weird thing is, like, I think it's even worse than the fact that he's took the picture with a child with the parent.
Right.
So I just think that the fact that that's really weird that, you know, because he said that, like, he's even admitted to, how would you say it?
Basically being a predator.
Yeah, he was doing some explicit things to himself over the pictures of the people. Children.
This isn't like us just, like, that's the thing, right? See the evidence with a situation, right? Some of it is kind of clouded because it's not been archived quickly enough, because TikTok, Instagram are just taking away his counts far too quickly for us to gather actual information. And it's just a bit like, we can only really go on of what we've seen personally, and some of these things we can't really back up because again, it's not been archived. And I think platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, they should archive these things about everybody.
They should keep that in data.
Because, for example, I can think of a few people like Tony Lopez. That was a bad situation.
Oof.
Then we had
He's still not banned off TikTok, by the way, Tony Lopez.
I know. And then we've got people like the Buddy. If you remember him, then you remember. We've also got people like who else? Try to think.
Joe Rob recently.
Joe Rob recently. Curly Daddy was mentioning that. That's how I know about it. And Joe Rob used to be this feminist, said, but that's the thing. He was a hypocrite. Joe Rob. Well, he would say like these things are wrong, but Daniel Larson, he's just no. He's a blatant predator.
Yes.
Anyway, Caesar, you can take over.
Well, what else is there? I'm trying to think because there's been quite a few things. Well, there's been things like him. What happened was people saying that Grace VanderWaal was in hospital, continuing on from what Kieran was saying. And when Grace VanderWaal was in hospital, not when Grace VanderWaal was in hospital, but when people were claiming she was in hospital, Daniel believed that in the comments.
And he was sitting almost on the verge of tears.
And at some points he was going in the middle of football games or soccer if you're American, or whatever you call it.
That's just wrong, by the way.
Restaurants and shouting, "Can you please say rest in peace to Grace VanderWaal?" You can find them on TikTok.
Personally, these videos here, if you think that he's just doing these because he's got full control of himself, it's no, because see these things, him just screaming them in random places.
And he get kicked out of a restaurant, by the way, for saying it. You can find it on TikTok if you type it up.
That shows his instability mentally, so it is, and it shows that people like this can take advantage of him quite quickly, building on the point that I was saying, that he could be being manipulated to do these things. But this is where the argument kind of runs dry here. Who, even if the manipulation is bad enough, who actually goes and exposes themselves to children on a live?
That's just sick. That's sick.
Because these are things that stick with you your entire life, and things that you can't just take away. So and I know everybody would not sacrifice their reputation for a quick couple $100, would you?
Nah, I don't know anybody.
No, so it's kind of disgusting to think about, to be honest. And then when you think about other people, like for example, who, like, if I'm trying to think right now, like people were sitting saying things about like Joe Rob, he manipulates. Because he uses that certain level of power over people.
Because he's famous.
But again, no, like Daniel Larson, I would say had power, but no in the conventional sense that he was idolised. I would say the power is that he was older in a sense, and if he wanted explicit content for minors, they would feel like that's how a relationship worked.
Speaking of explicit content, Daniel also, and it deleted, the account get banned so quick. He made a video on one of his accounts, I can't remember, saying that he made, this is real, this is what he said that he made an adult content TikTok page, and he had it,
Daniel Larson 18 plus, I think it was called.
And I think it was either that, and there was another one, Daniel Larson adult content, another one just recently, and that get banned so quick, because he must have been posting bad things on that if it get banned so quick, but he was advertising it.
Again, no, because we didn't really see any videos ourselves. It could have been one of the pages that people make to go and spite people. So again, that is a possibility, but knowing Daniel's history per se, I think it's safe to conclude that it was his doing, and he did these things, and nobody was really forcing him to do this one, because at the time we didn't hear anything from him
exactly
for a couple of weeks, and eventually a new one just posted back on, and it's been an on and off game of him making accounts and getting them deleted.
It's over a couple of weeks though it gets deleted, because he'll get banned and he'll be off for a couple of days, and then he'll make a new account.
So anyway, I think that's really all I've got to say right now, as I think we've covered it pretty conclusively.
But if there's any more information, then
And also, I don't know if you know, but in the comments, tell us anybody else that you feel would be good to have a video done about them, and I guess we'll look at it when we can.
Or if you've got anything else to
Add on the situation.
add on and that, and then we'll continue a video, a part 2. So yeah, there's anything you'd like to say, Kieran?
Personally, no, but I think just to summarise this, I think Daniel Larson started out as just wanting to make content videos, and eventually started snowballing with all the allegations as his mental health get increasingly worse.
And the very bad manipulation.
Aye, the very bad manipulation, I would say, also took into factor of some of the things he's did.
It's took a toll on his mental health, because you can tell by the
because
progression.
you can see him slowly starting to wear away. So it is.
And kind of lose reality himself.
Aye. Also, like Ninja, if you've seen him, he's been slowly kind of in a physical decline, almost like Daniel. And I feel like his mental health has played an impact in that. Also, the allegations that are online and the stuff that's been going on online can affect his life. And as we know, he suffers from mental health, and he might not take that well.
Yeah.
So I believe these are all things that happened. And personally, I do think, right, he is what's it called? He is guilty of these things. Like,
because there's been evidence.
There's been evidence, and he's actually admitted some of it. And I know the question in your minds is, what do you think him? And doing it, here's my honest opinion: he shouldn't be judged any fairer than an actual paedophile.
Because he's the same. You can't excuse mental health for the things, of him choosing to do.
That's like pleading insanity. You might plead insanity and get away with it, but you know in your conscience you still did these things.
Without, because you still, something in your mind said, you should do it. Because you wouldn't just do it without using your full brain power. There must have been something you want.
Compelling you to make these acts. So
which that includes, talking to someone as well.
And making a printing press over 500 gigabytes of just CP.
Yeah, we'll fail CP because I don't want to say it.
Anyway, in conclusion, I think that's what it is he's a paedophile driven by manipulation, but
and mental health.
We also feel that his mental health might have clouded his judgment of this. However, that doesn't excuse his acts, and unfortunately he needs to live with these things for the rest of his life. So I think this is us, we're going to go now. I would say just comment and like, I guess, if you want. I mean, we don't really care about the likes or anything, we just want to spread the word.
And just let us know if there's anybody else you want us to, do a video on, or if there's anything worth for Daniel Larson to add up on, then.
Anyway, so I think we're going to go now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
Right, see you later. Bye.